번째 기상을 해서 곧 5시간 되는데 어제 뉴욕타임즈를 읽기 시작하겠습니다. Treasure hunting in New York with a magnet. City's murkiest waters yield plenty of surprise, including a live grenade. James was not afraid of the grenade, not even a little bit, but he was feeling a rush of adrenaline. After all, finding an antique weapon in the Sheepshead Bay in New York was a big deal for someone who desperately wants to be noticed. A YouTube video of a grenade being pulled from the water along the Brooklyn shoreline could be viral gold. Some magnet fishers go their whole lives without this happening, Mr. K said, pacing the boardwalk excitedly. I've never won a lottery in my entire life, even a scratch up. This is historic. It's pure freaking insanity, 100%. Scratch up. World crisis add volatility to economy for 2024. London. Wars and 50 election put pressure on trade, investment, and growth. The attacks on crucial shipping traffic in the Red Sea Strait by a determined band of militants in Yemen, a spillover from the Israeli-Hamas war in Gaza, are injecting a new dose of instability into a world economy already struggling with mounting geopolitical tension. The risk of escalating conflict in the Middle East is the latest in a string of unpredictable crises, including the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine, that have landed like swipes of a bear claw on the global economy, smacking it up course and the living scars. As if there wanted enough, more volatility lies ahead in the form of a wave of national election whose repercussion could be deep and long. More than 2 billion people in roughly 50 countries, including India, Indonesia, Mexico, South Africa, the United States, and the 27 nations of the European Parliament, will head to the polls. Altogether, participants in 2024's election Olympiad account for 60% of the world's economic output. In robust democracies, elections are taking place as mistrust in government is rising. Electors are bitterly divided, and there is a profound and abiding anxiety for economic prospects. Even in countries where elections are neither free nor fair, leaders are sensitive to the economy's health. President Vladimir Putin's decision this fall to require exporters to convert foreign currency into rubles was probably done with an eye on propping up the ruble and tamping down prices before Russia's presidential election in March. A treasure hunter with a magnetic personality. You are gonna know, let's get to the magnetic. I'm getting famous. But Mr. King could just as happily work for the city, helping clean out the ponds and the playground, or he could get hired to teach children about magnet fishing and the history of New York. A career takes off. It just took time. In projects like the Maestro, Matt Bomber is getting some of the best roles he's had. 2 decades ago, a producer, Bomber did name him, told him that if he came out publicly, he would never play lead. Millennial courtship, the happy couple. The happy couple hews to the usual contours of what we now call a millennial novel. People in their mid to late 20s mired in indecision and a gloomy sense of possibility. Work at sunrise after a night of cocaine and ask one another things like, do you think I could be happy? Dolan smirk at the persistence of the question in a social milieu. C-Line is a professional pianist. Luke does the communication for a tech company with the infinite option for fulfillment. Both the C-Line's and Luke's romantic entanglement they involve multiple genders and little judgment. Trouble, getting behind the wheel. On 8-day exploration into British cheese making, heavy on the tasting. After morning of following the cheese making process, a triptych of biology, chemistry, and craft. We returned to the manor house in silence, humbled by the beauty of such pitifully exhausting work. Enough sound and fury to fill 2 stages. Macbeth the strut, and the press in a pair of powerful new English production. The post starring Ralph just finished its initial run at the depot, a cavernous converted warehouse on an industrial estate in Liverpool. Ralph, Macbeth, is a hulking lugubrious presence, whereas day tenants is a gaunt, energetic bundle of angst. Low and older creator donated 200 artworks, paintings by Van Gogh and Botticelli are pledged to Metropolitan Museum. I never wanted to be too presumptuous. Hollane said in an interview, but I think he was already thinking about the mat. $325 million, and he's never faced a major league. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's deal could have a big impact on future payroll disparity. He was in the right place at the right time. Thanks to the competition, he generated among the game's biggest spenders. A text message app that had upset the Apple. Beeper Mini had created a tech headache and a potential antitrust problem. We can tell how worried they are internally, but their response could have a huge impact on how messaging works. Beeper brought a different approach to messaging. Mr. M created the company in 2020 to build a single messaging app that could send text across the multiple services. For years, the band's phone annoyed his family. It was the only Android device in a family message group with 8 iPhones. Because of him, videos and photos would arrive in low resolution, and there would be a green bubbles of text amid bubbles of blue. Business. Shortage of truck drivers upend Japan. Tokyo. Country grapple with how to preserve a lifestyle while improving worker condition. In addition to the labor shortage, the trucking industry is constrained by outdated practices molded by the habits of people elsewhere in the supply chain, such as suppliers and retailers, that makes it difficult to find new efficiencies. It's not so easy to make changes all at once in this industry, said Haruhiko, an official at the association representing Japan's trucking industry, reporting to its interdependent nature. Trucks in Japan do not have detachable trailers, unlike trucks in much of the developed world. Cardboard boxes are not standardized. There are 400 different sizes for shipping oranges, for example. When the regulation is tightened in 2024, it will be tougher to do business, he said. Inside the unraveling of Headspin, a boom-time startup, the absence of control at Headspin is a part of an increasingly noticeable pattern at Silicon Valley startups that have run in trouble. Over the past decade, investors in tech startups have been so eager to back hot companies that many have often overlooked reckless behavior and given up key controls like the board seat, all in the service of fast growth and disruption. Then when founders took the ethos of fake it till you make it too far, their investors were often unaware of helpless. A chapter of U.S. abortion history is repeating itself. More than 60 years ago, the U.S. was confronted with the story of a young woman forced to seek abortion abroad after unwittingly taking a drug that caused severe birth defect. We tried so desperately to do what was right, yet thousands of people sought to judge for us, she said in a talk. Holding the document in my hands, I felt a sense of wonder that such a thing could have happened in my lifetime, and relief that it would never happen to another woman. I found a phone number and called Ms. C to get permission to reprint the talk. We included the text in our book, Before Roe v. Wade. Rescue from an online hellscape. You might wonder if a good read isn't just an enabler of scandal, but the problem itself. The primary online destination for book lovers had become synonymous with the backbiting, scandal, and deceit. But it's not too late to fix it. Behind the burst of an anti-vaccine story, a 24-year-old's death caught the attention of immunization opponents. Vaccine opponents had a death certificate that placed the blame squarely on the vaccine. His wife, Cassie, shared a TikTok video with him claiming that COVID-19 is caused by snake venom, a conspiracy theory that was gaining popularity at the time. For the billionaire who has everything, Red Rock Island, California, $25 million for an island of San Francisco, lacking any campus of a home. Reaching the island can require wading or leaping to the beach, an unpredictable distance that depend on the tide. Though you do reach the top, however, discover beautiful panoramic views of the bay, said James, who took photographs for the 2006 coffee table book, The Island of San Francisco Bay, and had successfully climbed to the top 3 times. It is not difficult, he said, to imagine the peaceful seclusion of life up there. If only he had $25 million plus additional riches to develop the island. There is no quitting for Trump. Washington, a series of indictment would have ended a more traditional campaign. Other people, if they ever got indicted, they are out of politics. In another era, a politician would have walked away. Far from agonizing over the collateral damage from his never surrender the ethos, Mr. Trump seems incentivized by Stripe, tightly braiding his legal defense with his presidential campaign. He has tried to run out the clocks on his criminal trials, a strategy that delivered another victory last week when the Supreme Court declined to decide a key point of contention in its federal 2020 election case immediately. Mr. Trump had spent the 4 years wielding the powerful White House at the bully pulpit to insist that any critical news coverage was a lie, that no elected official he opposed should be believed, and the courts could not be trusted. England priests have had enough. Labor unrest has reached the Church of England. For faith workers responsible both spiritually and practically for their congregants, this work could take a big toll. It's also impossible to escape. Today, the effort to unionize has created a space for clergy members to see themselves as workers, giving them a way to resist injustice and inequality. There are those that say, don't talk about politics or religion. Ms. S. said, that's what those in power want to instill in people to stop them challenging the status quo. Our semicolons, our syllabus, AI or no AI, is paid to write and to write well. When I go through a student's papers and the misplaced modifiers, note the cliche, or explain that a 15-sentence paragraph is less approachable than a 5-sentence one. I sometimes ask myself a question that the students who get those papers back from me perhaps ponder as well. Does it really matter? Is skillful writing a prerequisite for accomplishment, for contentment, even for communication? You can make your point without punctuating it properly. The most potential idea may well survive the most flaccid prose. If you are honest with yourself, you know that, because you know your own skeptical reaction when people send you at a crowded track. You also know the way you perk up when they send this shining update, and while the epigrammatic cleverness or audio-visual genius of a viral TikTok or Instagram post has the potential to shape the opinion and motivate behavior. There are organizations and institutions whose internal communication and decision-making aren't conducted via social media, GIFs, memes, and emojis don't apply. not so gourmet yacht meals. Food is fuel for sailors in the Sydney Hobart race, and they plan accordingly. Bruce Watson said nutrition packets are the only food that tastes the same coming up as going down. Both Richard's Pretty Woman or Royal Cohort. Divided the chores of pre-cooking and freezing evening meals, then serving them aboard the 40-foot sloop during the race. An absence as big as a boat. While the Oz XI, a crowd favorite, will miss this year's Sydney Hobart. 와, 대단하다. 대단한 뉴욕타임즈.